Dear students, faculty, staff, colleagues, it seems like day number, I can't count days anymore since we saw each other in person. Like me, I know that all of you have shifted your work and social life to online spaces so that we spend almost all of our days looking at screens. And as screen studies scholars have pointed out, we're not just looking at screens, but we are constantly looking at ourselves, creating an exhaustion loop of being constantly watched and continuously watching. I don't think I have ever been this fed up of my face in all my life because I see it all the time. So, I want to suggest that this is not a temporary shift or a quick fix solution where technologies are the answer. Instead, we need to recognize this shift as an existential one and leading to some critical questions that need to be asked. Who are we when we learn online? We become a new kind of a person if our best friend is a screen and our social life is a scrolling newsfeed. We take on new roles when the material that we work with, the spaces that we live in, and the bodies that we connect with are all replaced by digital interfaces. We are preparing for a new world order where we know as practitioners, thinkers, makers, doers, all the things that we know does not fit easily into scripts of work and society. If we firmly believe that art changes, that an artist is a change maker, that art comes with the aesthetic and ethical imperative for transformation, then I guess this is where the rubber meets the ground. This is where we have to decide the future that we are walking into and the future that we will make together. And an existential question demands that we look at all the things that need to change in order for our existence to be meaningful. And we want to make sure that this question does not get sidelined by the pragmatism of managing a crisis and the solutionism of offering digital technologies as the answer. And the more we talked about it in different groups, with students, with faculty, with artists and professionals in the cultural sector, the more we thought it was important that we create a space for these conversations. And from this came this webinar. We're calling it crisis education / critical education because even as we try and fix the crisis of how to teach in these remote education times, we want to keep our focus on why we teach and what are our values when we teach. We want to have this conversation now as they are in the making rather than afterwards when the decisions have been taken and we are trying to cope with them. So this webinar for us is an invitation to start a dialogue. In the first module on mapping the field, you have two experts help us understand what is at stake when we move online. They will share with us how institutions, resources, finances, communities, homes and bodies need to change and have a different sense of purpose as we travel through this portal into digital futures. The second module invites 4 international practitioners who show the different ways by which new solutions can be found and new practices can be developed, specifically highlighting the fact that we cannot do this alone. In showing their creative hacks, they help understand what kind of collective practices would be needed. And in the third module, we will come back to exploring how to make these collectives. Because they are not just happy, organic coming together of people. They need planning and design, a manifesto, a call for action. Each of these modules has short videos, which are already available online. These videos are free, open, distributed, and archived. So you can see them at your own time, with subtitles, and in your own space. If you see these videos, leave us comments. We will have some live moments when we would be able to ask those questions to the experts and get them to expand and explain more on their thoughts. And once all the modules are over, we are hoping to create a toolkit which can be implemented for taking education online, where we think about online education and connected learning as a human function and not a technological one. All right, so these videos are fun. They are critical, but they are conversational. They are personal, but they are political. They are short and light, but provocative and serious. And more than anything else, they are trying to acknowledge that all of us are living in uncertain and precarious times. This is not the new normal. We don't have an enough and adequate vocabulary to make sense of what we are going through. And these videos are trying to give us a language, to find the words, to frame what we are all experiencing at a human, at an experiential, and at a social level. They acknowledge that things are messy, that we are struggling to figure out the future, but that we are all in this together. I hope you find them inspiring and comforting, assuring and provocative, and that we build upon this moment to keep on exploring how we learn, why we learn, and what does it mean to the future that we want, a future worth fighting for, a future worth fighting for together. Thank you.